You're listening to the 5 Stars podcast, sponsored by Stealth Competitions Limited, exclusively on the 5 Stars website. Subscribe today for content from your favourite Ibrox heroes.
Hello, it's Michael Smith here. We're back once again for another 5 Stars podcast, sponsored by Stealth Competitions, joined by Barry Ferguson and Ian Durrant. Football is back from international break. How good is it to get club football back again?
It's been a long 2 weeks, and just looking forward to getting back to Ibrox and hopefully getting 3 points, Michael, because as you know, 4 draws, it's not been an ideal start to the season. So we're at home against a good Hearts team under Derek McInnes. They've had a real good start as well. They're sitting joint top of the league, so it'll be a tough one, but we're at home and we've got to get the 3 points, as simple as that.
Getting back from an international break as a player, good to catch up with all your teammates again and get back to it.
It's good, yeah. But the biggest thing's the worry for the manager. Now, he has a clean bill of health. All the players come back now fit, and as Barry said, they're now looking forward to now Hearts now top of the league, top team in Scotland. CB Derek get manager of the month. They'll bring a big support, but this place will be buzzing on Saturday, and hopefully now with the players getting a wee bit of, like Ashgard getting a wee bit of game time away with Norway. I seen Raskin scored, so it'll be good, and they'll all come back in good spirits, hopefully.
These internationalists coming back from duty, Asgard scored 4 goals for his team. Cornelius, who we've just signed, scored a belter of a free kick. Raskin getting a goal, and can't forget Suter helping his team keep a clean sheet as well for Scotland.
I think we'll be delighted, yeah, with 2 games with Suter. Tough tie in Denmark, and obviously the game in Belarus. But pleasing for Asgard, albeit come on as a sub. And Cornelius, that was a fantastic goal. I didn't know my DVDs were out in Canada, but so he done well. But again, it all goes well, and as I said earlier, they all hope they come back now fit and ready for the big game on Saturday. Something
we've not really seen from Asgard. We've not seen enough of him yet, but I think managing to do that for his country, you're wanting to see him do that at Rangers, aren't you?
Well, it was disrupted the pre-season because you get injured. He was a big signing. There was a lot expected of him. Now he's back fully fit. His Rangers career's not got off to the best of starts in terms of playing games, but you can see there's definitely a player in there, and obviously no matter who you're playing against, still to get 4 goals in international duties, no mean feat. So hopefully we can start to see him now show what he's capable of, because as I said to you, a lot of people think highly of him down in England, and it's important that he gets his Rangers career kicking off at a good start.
Nico Raskin, of course, on the score sheet for Belgium as well. Come on, gets a goal, and obviously he's been the talk around here at the moment with him and the manager. Not seen eye to eye with a few things, but he's a Rangers player. He's back training with the team. Just got to fight his way into that squad, or do you think he just walked straight in?
I've not walked straight back in, but hopefully him and the manager can get together and sort things out. Because as we spoke last week, I think Nico Raskin is a very, very big player for Glasgow Rangers, and the quicker we get him up and playing, as Barry knows him better than me, it'll be a stronger Rangers team, and let's hope that happens on Saturday. As I said, he's went away, probably cleared his head, going away with the national team. It probably came at a good time, obviously, with the transfer window shutting, and hopefully comes back and then he can kick on now.
You've obviously dealt with him as a manager, Barry. What kind of conversation do you think him and Russell Martin will have? Obviously there's got to be a sense of maturity to his side as well, and then hopefully just wanting to get back into the team and start playing and hopefully start helping with some goals.
Yeah, but it's got to come from both sides, obviously, so hopefully they can come some sort of middle ground and get Nico back involved in the squad. Durrant is spot on. Look, he's a big player for Rangers, there's no doubt. He was excellent the last couple of months of the season, but I think it came at a good point where there was a clean break. He was away with international team. He obviously never played the first game, played the second game, got his goal, so hopefully he's going to come back and fight for his place, because Rangers with Nico Raskin in it, in my opinion, are a better team, that's for sure.
Obviously not the best of starts to the season, Ian, but the message from the manager, obviously you're not, the aim for a Rangers manager, a Rangers team, Rangers fans, is to finish first, but the message from the manager could be don't finish third or win the league. What's your bets on that one?
Well, he's probably playing it down a bit of his first season, but he'll know as soon as you walk in the front doors at Ibrox, you see everything. This whole stadium, team, fans, us, is geared to winning things, and don't be kidded on. Russell Martin will need to win something this year. that's just the pitfalls of being a Rangers manager. They have to win everything, even if it's a game of cards, a game of tiddlywinks. Rangers need to win. Great support, honestly. The support it turns up week in, week out. You can't finish second now. We need to kick on, and it starts on Saturday against the top of the league. Then we've got a tough tie against Hibs. 2 great games coming up, plus other games in the future. But the next 2 games are massive games for Russell Martin.
And did Durrant beat you at Tiddlywinks?
Beat him everyone else.
No, but he's right. There's no distractions now. The transfer window's closed. He knows the squad. Nobody's unsettled now. Everybody knows they're going to be here. So there's no excuses now. We need to get to start to win games of football. As I said, the first block of games disappointing in terms of points. But listen, the good thing is after an international break, you've got a home game. This is going to be a full house. It'll be packed. The fans will get right behind them, and they're coming up against the Hearts team that have done really well and are strong. But look, I expect us to come out the traps. We need to come out the traps and make sure we get the 3 points, because we need to get that first win, get that monkey off our back, and then once we do that, hopefully confidence will build, and then we can really push on.
Derek McInnes, no stranger to Scottish football as a player and a manager. I think he's played as a manager over 40 times against Rangers, and he's only won 3 times at Ibrox. How important is that we try and keep that record down?
Well, let's hope it's no 4. Exactly. Yeah, he's done his tour of duty now. Aberdeen, St Johnstone, Kilmarnock. Now he's at Hearts. Now, Derek knows how to play the game. He knows how to set his teams up. They'll be very hard to beat. They've had a couple of good acquisitions in the summer. But as I said now, through the transfer window in the back of the board, Russell has got the majority of his team now. So he's got to make sure they're ready, because it will be a tough game. But it's a great game to come back for. Now imagine you're against the top of the league. Now we've played Celtic, we've got the top league. We've got a quarter final of the Cup coming up now. The players not to go up, both bring it on.
It shouldn't be difficult for the manager to get them up for this.
No, Durrant spot on, man. You've got to be excited. Your top of the league is coming. Then obviously, I don't like looking too far in front, but obviously you've got Hibs in the quarter final. But this is a game you want after the international break. As I said, everybody's refreshed. They probably had a few days off, get away, and come back and be hungry and ready to get that first win under your belt. And look, Hearts are going to be difficult. There's no doubt. Derek knows the game. Durrant just mentioned the clubs he's been at. He's experienced. He knows how to set teams up. So we all know that. That's there's not going to be any difference to the way that Derek's going to approach it. But we need to approach it in a manner as we have to win that game of football. No matter how we play, I don't care. Honestly, don't care. We just need to make sure we get that first 3 points.
Hopefully an early goal as well, settle the fans, because I think that's maybe something that the players are finding a bit of a pressure just now. Fans
Michael,
breathing down their neck. But
that's the way it is at Glasgow Rangers. There's demands and expectations always put on you, and after that first 10-15 minutes, if you don't start well or you don't get that first goal, then it gets a bit edgy. But you need to deal with it. You have to deal with that. You're at a club like here. It's just part and parcel of being at this brilliant football club. So if we don't go off to a good start and it's pretty even the first 15-20 minutes, that's when you want to see the big characters come out and show their bit. And I fully expect that come Saturday.
Who do you think the big characters are in the team that we've got at the moment?
We always talk about the backbone of your team, the spine of your team. Now you get Butler and Suter, obviously Tav, and if Raskin's fit and ready. But the interesting thing for me in Saturday will be with the 2 new signings of the centre forwards. Now, in the previous time, the manager only played one up front, but you've got Majowski and the boy from Everton coming in, 8 million, 4 million. So there's the good crux of £12 million players. So it'll be interesting to see if he plays the both of them. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Rangers go back to like 4-4-2, especially at home, 2 up front, and then you can go and get at teams.
The managers have always seemed to stick in recent years just with that one up front, but signing Shermiti for that price tag, and of course bringing in Miovski, who's got a track record in Scotland and had a very good track record actually. I'd love to see the two of them start.
So would I. Durrant's spot on. £12 million a lot of money to invest into 2 players, and it'll be interesting to see if both start. They've had a couple of weeks. I know Miovski's been away in international duty. I'm sure Chimiti will be in training and get used to the surroundings. So I'm looking forward to Saturday at 1:45 to see the starting lineup, and I'm all for put the 2 of them in. They've been brought in for big money. Miovski we all know about. I think it'll be a good signing. He was a right good player at Aberdeen. He had a difficult period in Spain, that happens to every player, but I was impressed with him against Celtic. I thought he worked ever so hard. Should have had a penalty. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the manager goes with. He might even change. I know Durrant is saying a 4-4-2. He might go a 3-5-2. Who knows? So, it'll be interesting to see the starting lineup. But Russell Martin's been given the money to go and strengthen the team. There's a lot of new players coming in, and now it's about starting to win games of football.
As Barry said before, transfer window closing. How happy as a manager do you think Russell Martin is now that that's happened? He can relax now. Well, not quite relax, but just work with what he's got and focus on getting that first win.
And what he's got's got to be better. Now we know, but we keep saying we've got to be better. You talked about character there. The whole team's got to show a bit of character now. Now the start we've had, alright, we've not had any losses, but we've not had any wins. So this is the time to kick on now. We've not even talked about it now. Maybe Cornelius might come in. As Barry's again agree with him. He might go to three. Now the three with Cornelius on the left, getting that bit of balance. In the middle of the park, that'll get sorted. But again, they've got to show the character and win these games. See, when you're at home, Michael, that's when you find out what you've got. Now it's tough if you don't score a goal within the first 15 minutes. When we were playing, when we didn't score in the warm up. Now we were getting it, but that's the nature of the beast here. And sometimes it's about patience. Now that early goal might not come, but it's showing a level of patience. And we've seen me bits against Celtic. Yes, they ran about more. There's a lot more endeavour. Can we get that wee cutting edge and create more chances? Because as I said, if you're signing two players of the calibre, the centre forwards, we've got to create chances for them.
Over the years, Ibrox a hard place to come for Derek McInnes as a manager, just saying that, only 3 wins, a few draws obviously in there as well. How do you think he sets his Hearts team up to play against Rangers at Ibrox? Well,
they'll be cautious to start with. They'll not be gung-ho. Now they'll try and play the way of the game as most teams do. But over the piece and over my recollection over the years, we've had a good record against Hearts at home. Now we've done fairly well, but Derek will make it hard. But equally, we've just got to play with a bit of freedom now. We spoke about it now. Go and enjoy it. Go and play and embrace it and get everything about you and try and get that win. Because see, once you get that win, everything will start bubbling along, and that's the next thing. Then we'll take it step by step.
For you, does James Tavernier start?
Yep,
exactly.
100%.
Captain's armband get stuck in. I mean, obviously we've not been particularly great without him. I felt there was a bit more of a balance against Celtic when he started.
If you go back to when he was on the bench at St Mirren, the second half, I thought with introduction to him, he drove the team forward. I thought when he come on, when Aarons gets sent off, he come on as a substitute against Bruges. I thought he was really good again, led for the front, and I thought against Celtic at home he was really good. Look, in my opinion, I was lucky enough to work with him for 3 and a bit months, and he was a brilliant professional, but he was a very good player. I didn't actually realise how good he was until you're close up and you work with him, and he was a joy to work with. So for me, it's a no-brainer. He's a big player. He's a big character as well. Listen, I'll give him his due. When things have got tough, he always stands tall. He always puts himself there and makes himself available. And he went right up in my estimations before I actually got the job. But actually, when you go in and you work with him, you see what type of character he is. So for me, he's a big player for Rangers.
Give him the lot. Armband, toss-up, corners, free kicks, throw-ins, penalties, back post, goals.
Yeah, his record speaks for itself.
Unbelievable. Frightening.
Assists and goals.
Everything. And just getting, and as I said now, he'll be one. He's one that will have a bit of a backbone, a bit of character about him, and now people can feed off that, especially new players coming in.
He would have been hurting.
Of course, it's the same.
But do you know what he wouldn't have done? He wouldn't have spat the dummy out. He would have still trained hard. He would still been a good leader in the dressing room. And when he gets that opportunity, I knew he would come on and he would make a difference. And in my opinion, watching the games, he certainly has made a difference, and he certainly makes Rangers better.
As a player, when did you find out, playing under the different managers that you did, when did you find out you were in that starting 11? And has it changed nowadays?
No, probably a couple of days before the game you start to set up the system you're going to approach a game with. So I'd probably say if you had the game on the Saturday, you would probably know, or virtually know, the starting 11 by the Thursday. That's generally, as a player, and as a manager I was the same. I don't know, Durrant might have been different when he coached, but generally if you had the game on the Saturday, if I was a player I would know I would be playing on the Thursday, or if I was managing I would probably name my team on the Thursday as well.
Same for you, Durrant?
No, not really, no. Players like him don't get dropped. It's players like me. No, we used to find out Walt was quite coy about it. When we played underwater, he'll tell you about 1:45 of the team, and you'd name the team, and that was it. Just got on with it. Most of the time, Barry will tell you that the amount of games we were playing, there was a lot of times it was last minute in terms of fitness. Now with boys and that, so you'd find out now prior to the game. But sometimes pre-European games, we'd do a bit of shape, and you'd have a fair idea you were in the team. But most of the time in the league game, it was either named at the hotel before we went to the away ground, or this is 1:45 at Ibrox.
And what was that like as a player, the anticipation when it was that close to kick
Well, not very good if you're known to start 11.
Clearly not.
Listen, that's what it is. Now, Barry will tell you. See, when you look about the dressing room and you see the calibre Barry played now, with Van Bronckhorst, Arthur Newman, Cloud Arena, now Canija, Dado Purcell, now all big characters. That was looking about that, loud up Gascoigne, Goffey, Bomber, Coisty. You pinch yourself, but you want to be part of it. And I'm sure now that the present team are looking about, and one of the players that, as we talked about, would be Tav, and they'll look up to him as a player that now can now kick us on.
And how do you deal with that as a player when your name's not shouted out?
Not very good, because you need to go and do the sweets. Listen, that's the nature. That's what it is. But as Barry says, you can't afford to spit a dummy. Now, obviously, you're hurting because you want to play. That's what you do. You're training all week to gear up to the Saturday to play, but that just makes you harder. And Barry was spot on what he said about Tav earlier. He said, now it was easy for him to come on and maybe I could not do what I want to do, but he came on and made an impact. But as I said, it just makes you work hard and to try and get back in the team.
See, in terms of you're not playing, I always says to the players, even the short period I had last year, be disappointed, be hurting, but do you know what? You better be a good teammate, because we need everybody, and that's exactly what I think Tav has been, and I think that's where you should be as a player, because every player wants to play, but if you don't, you need to show a good attitude, and that's certainly something that has come across with Tav, and do you know what, it doesn't surprise me.
After a lot of these new signings coming into the club, it'll be interesting to see how the team's set up on Saturday, but also still youth on our side as well, in terms of young Finlay, Bailey. Is there still a place for these guys in the Rangers squad, the Rangers first team?
I think young Finlay's been great when he's been called upon. He scored some big goals. I see him as a big part. In terms of Bailey, he's not been involved as much, so there was a lot of talk. I don't really know. I spoke to him briefly. I think it was a Dundee game at home, and he was looking to maybe go out on loan, and I think maybe that is the best thing, because he's a player that needs to gain that experience, and I think in the future he's definitely more than capable of being a Rangers midfielder. There's no doubt in my mind, but it's important that we keep bringing through young players, because it's a big thing for Rangers, because I honestly believe we don't produce enough. So that's something that we need to do better as a whole. But certainly they two players, I worked with them closely for 3 months, and what I loved about them was their attitude. It's not a case of either at the first team they think they've made it. They wanted to do extra after training. They wanted to try and improve themselves, and that's all you want from a young kid.
How important is it having these young players coming through?
Well, we were lucky enough to do it, but as I said, Barry doesn't give himself a lot of credit. Now, a Bailey Rice and a Finlay Curtis would have been frothing at the mouth knowing they're going to be working under Barry Ferguson. I'm sure as kids they would idolise Barry, as we all did, and that's what it is. But I feel a wee bit sorry for Finlay, because I think he probably deserved a bit more game time than he's had, because he came on against St Mirren's, we talked about a few weeks ago, and then Barry Wright scored a few goals, but he's actually done really, really well, and you can see when he comes on, his attitude to take the ball, his willingness, and he looks as though he's actually filling out now. Barry, as I said, Barry no better than me, and he looks as he's going to be a proper unit. Big Bailey is spot on again. He said he needs game time. He needs games at this bit in his career. He needs games. So maybe a wee 3 or 4 month loan will set him up. Good game time. Get a bit more experience. Get a bit more toughened up. Because it is a hard league to play in when you're asking a young boy to come in and play a week in and week out. But as I said now, we need more. We need more, especially for me, the identity of the club. The club loves seeing, and I love seeing young boys coming through where they've got an identity with the club. They're coming through the youth, as I did, and that's what I like to see. Not all at once, but now surely we can get more in 2 or 3 with the academy we've got at Auchenhowie.
I'll give you a good example of Finlay last year. Finlay plays obviously attacking wide left or on the right, or he can play centrally through the middle. We totally changed the team going up to Aberdeen, because we had Bilbao in the midweek, and Europa League, and I asked him to play left wing back, and his attitude was like, I'll play anywhere. And that summed him up. That summed the young kid up. And that first half was tough for him, at times, but do you know what? He done the dirty side of the game brilliantly. And I stood back and I thought, he's got a real chance. It's not just about what he does going forward. We all see he can make a difference. But the dirty side of the game, I thought that day he was great for me. Left wing back, a foreign position to him, but he was excellent.
How important do you think these loan opportunities are for younger players at clubs? And we've got a few players out on loan at the moment. You know, it doesn't mean that their career at Rangers is over. They've got to go away and work hard and come back and fight their way back into that team.
It's all about getting experience and going, showing that you can play at a good level. I think it's important that some of the young players that can't force their way into the first team, they now go out and get the experience of playing, whether it's Championship or even League One. I think it's so important that they do that. They're playing against men, they're playing against seasoned pros. I think it's important that, for instance, when I was a young boy coming through, I was playing against like guys like we would play in the reserve league on a Monday. So the guys that never played in the first team on a Saturday would play for whether it was Hearts or Hibs. So you were coming up against guys who'd maybe played 200 or 300 games. And also I was playing alongside like Durrant, a guy who'd played hundreds of games for Rangers and had that experience. So that was brilliant for me. It was a brilliant apprenticeship, and I think it's important for young players to go and gain that experience of playing men's football.
Do you think that model, do you think we miss that model nowadays,
The
having
reserves.
the opportunities of the reserves?
They do. Barry, again, he's correct in terms of what you're playing against, and you're learning your game. But you're also, when like Barry and that were coming through the reserves, they were playing with experienced players, and that helps them on. But see when they do go out on loan, if they do go out on loan, they need to play. Mm-hmm. It's easy for them just now to turn up at Auchenhow and Ibrox now. Now you've got everything done for you, but sometimes you're going to wait another environment where you're not going to get everything what you get at Auchenhow, and you've got to make sure you get game time, because if you're away and then you fall out, it makes it harder to get back in, because there'll be people watching them all the time. We've got scouts who go out, and now the development scouts will be watching the players out on loan. If they don't see what they're doing now, their attitude, then you're another cross against you. But so when we are going out on loan, you need to make sure you play, but you're spotting to get the reserve league. We miss that, because we used to play the reserve. We used to play at Ibrox, and the first time we played at Parkhead or Dundee, or vice versa. So they were bringing down. And another thing I'd maybe look at is see the amount of subs you get. I know now the amount of games, but we had 3 subs, so that means there was 6 players that didn't get a game, so automatically they had to play in the reserves. So maybe now we having now 8 subs, I think it makes it easier for now just to make decisions. Now obviously you can put 5 subs on now, but I think it makes it harder to get into the team. When we were playing, just by having 3 subs.
A much bigger squad nowadays than gone before, and just as Durrant says, 5 changes, 5 subs you can make nowadays, over 3 changes, I believe it is. Mm-hmm. How easier does that make it for a manager, because you can almost change the full setup to the team?
It does. It gives you that window where you can make changes if you're struggling in various positions. I do agree with Durrant. I think it is too much, and it does. I'll go back to the kind of system when I came through, and Durrant was probably similar. I think it's missed. I don't like the system we have up here, if I'm being honest with you, and I think that's hence the fact that we don't produce enough players. I think it should maybe look at changing it, but listen, that's the powers above it, need to decide that. But in terms of the 8 or 9 subs you have, and even in European games, you're allowed 10 or 11. It's mental at times, but look, I come through a youth system, Durrant came through the youth system. There's nothing better when you're a Rangers fan at this moment in time, and I'm sitting in the stand and I'm seeing a young player playing with Rangers. That's what I want to see, and we need to start producing more of them.
The youth model as a whole, across the whole of Scotland, needs a good look at, I think, doesn't it?
A lot it's down to finances. I understand that now. A lot of teams really can't afford now the travelling aspect or getting about or bringing on so many players. But I think for the future of Scotland, not just Scottish clubs, but the Scottish national team, we need to start producing more players. And now, why not get back to why not just try it for a season or season 2, get back to the reserve league, and then see what happens? Because at this present moment, I see wee flicks now on Rangers TV where I don't know if it's the development team they're called now, they play every 3 weeks. So they're talking now, how's that for game time? And you're doing a lot of training and you're going to play elite teams, but you should be playing every week. As a kid, you should be just a sponge, absorbing everything you can get, and if you can get experienced boys beside you and get them playing, then it helps you bring your team on, because you'll find out a kid and you may get one or two, but the older boys will bring them on, and that's what you work on.
Even before they get to, you know, a club like Rangers or any other Scottish club, how important is it, as Durrant says, you know, getting out, playing as many games as you can, playing with your mates, using jumpers as goalposts? It was back in my day.
No, there's, if you sign with a club, that's the only team you can play with. Back in the day, I would play with my boys' club, I played with the school team, I would train with Rangers once a week, and then play with the I was maybe playing with 3 or 4 different teams, and then obviously spending a bit of time with my pals. So obviously you see at this moment in time they're just stuck to one club, which I think they should allow them to go and play with their boys' club. But it's something that I think we've got to look at closely. There's no doubt in my mind. As I said, I'm passionate about seeing young players come through, and I just, unfortunately, I'm not just talking about Rangers. I think a lot of the clubs, some clubs are better than others, but I just don't think we see enough young talented players coming through, because there's a lot of talent in Scotland, a lot of talented players, but they get to that age and then they kind of disappear, and that's an issue for us.
100%. Do you think it's just because these young players are right good prospects for the club that they're signed to? The clubs are saying, well, we don't want you going out playing elsewhere and getting injured.
Yeah, and that's now try and get the game time, but as a kid you want to challenge yourself, and as we talked about now, playing games. And maybe now what's happening at Rangers now, it's not an ideal time to bring in young boys, but I'm sure if they're good enough, we talk about Finlay and Bailey, who are good enough to play in the first team, so if they're good enough, the manager will play them, but they've got to show the manager they want it. He wanted it as a kid, I wanted it, I wanted to play for Rangers, so I gave it my best shot, and I made sure at 17 Barry came in. I think Barry played at 16. We all knew Barry was going to play anyway, the talent he had, but I wanted to play. Now, and at 17 I'm going to stay in that team, and I made sure I did.
Another great Scottish talent is your young nephew, Lewis, as well. And I mean, I think everybody would agree, gutted not to see him at Rangers, but what he's done is just incredible.
Listen, and he had a few hard things to take. Rangers let him go, and it would be easy for him to give up, but he went to Accies, and you've got to give Accies a lot of credit. They nurtured him and worked with him and gave him an opportunity. He was younger, and then obviously we're talking about Hearts. Derek McInnes took him up to Aberdeen, and he flourished up there, and there was a lot of talk about maybe coming to Rangers, but I'll be honest with you, and I'm not just saying that because he's my nephew. Rangers missed a trick. There's no doubt he would have been ideal for Rangers, but look, he's went on to Pastors New, he's went to Italy, Bologna, he's a captain there now, and he's turning into a top player, Lewis.
They're not a bad family of footballers, Durrant.
No bad at all. They're only, I think they're only one off a 5-a-side team. They need a goalie, so I make win goals for them. I'll change my name to Ferguson, win goals, right? I wouldn't get a game outfield anyway. They're great. And but as Bart touched on, Lewis, he's a world superstar now in terms of what he's doing, and obviously he's a fixture for Scotland now. Long may that continue, but we missed the boat there. We missed the boat big time, not securing Lewis Ferguson as a Rangers player.
In terms of technology and sports science, it's massively different to when you were a player. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, something that's needed but maybe not as much as it's used?
I think there's a place in the game for it. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I think it has its advantages, but listen, you know yourself, if you come in and say you've played a game in the Tuesday night, you know if you can train on the Thursday or no. Look, there's been loads of debate about it. As I said to you, it has its positives, but also it has its negatives. I think you do need it. It does help you in certain ways, but you can't tell me, you know your own body better than anybody else. So if a player comes in and he says to me that he's okay to train, but somebody else says that he can't train, well, I'm going to listen to the player, because you know your own body inside out.
It has its place, sports science and the technology nowadays, but do you think it's overused?
No, that's you see it's part of the game now, but there's still the manager and Barry being it who sampled it. Your eyes and your ears will tell you everything. They'll probably tell you far more than a sports science does. You'll know if you're having a meeting with a player, if he wants to play or not, if he goes to somebody else and says he's tired. But if a manager will know. And in my day, you couldn't get enough of just playing. There is places now. I think now the recovery they are totally different to us. We started doing it with Graham Souness. In fact, we were doing recoveries. We were coming on a Sunday, which was a new thing for us under Graham Souness, and doing recoveries on a Sunday. That was quite hard after a Saturday night out.
Just after about 12, 15 pints.
But he was introducing things, but there is things that now you can see now the recovery get. But we played the amount of games as well. Barry played the amount of games. Now he was playing 50 odd games a year, so you can do it. And a lot of it's in the mind now. If the body tells now, if you keep telling yourself you're tired, you'll be tired. But you just want to get up and get in and train and play. That's the main one. And see when you're winning, you never hear anybody saying they're tired.
I just feel if you've got somebody telling somebody that, listen, you're a bit tired today, they start to believe that. So I'm always keen on somebody knowing their own body and telling you, look, I'm ready to go, or listen, I'm a bit tight. If somebody says that to me, well, listen, just take it easy today. But as I said to you, it's got its advantages, but also it's got its disadvantages, in my opinion.
As a player, to get in that starting squad, I mean, was there any time that you felt, you've maybe had a wee knock, but you think in your head, I can get through this, but if I say anything to the physio, I won't get started? Did you ever miss out anything like that and just not tell them you weren't feeling 100% just because you wanted to play for the jersey?
I cut like a Codamol and a Voltarol. That was me. I was ready to go.
Good to go.
I was good to go. Listen. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I played one game 100%. Sure, Durrant will agree with.
Honestly, you're correct. I think the only time you play 100% is your debut.
Aye.
Right, and then after that, because obviously make your debut for Rangers, the next day you'll be tight or something, right, which you weren't, and then we all play with knocks. I remember there's a story, John Brown, and we beat Aberdeen, and then Big Mark Kelly scored 2 goals. Well, John Brown was told on the Friday his Achilles was going to snap because now the severity of the injury, and Bomber took an injury, 70 minutes, it popped, but he knew, but he just used to wheel him on anyway, Bomber. And even with Mr. Dare, you used to get wheeled down to the middle of the park and head, but you knew, and these things happen. That's just the nuts. But when you're playing that level of game for a league decider, you don't even think about your body. You just want to go out and want to play and do your best for the Rangers.
Aye, once you cross that white line,
That's
you're just focused on one thing, and that's playing the game and trying to win a game. Injuries, you forget about it. You deal with it after the game. That's what I used to think. I'll deal with the pain after the game. Never felt pain during it.
As a manager, when you were here, what sort of details are you getting from these sports scientists on each individual
Quite
player? What information are you getting?
Quite a lot. I was a bit like, wow, this is a bit too much for me. But again, listen, you've got to give them their place. It is important that they do look after themselves, the players. And genuinely, I've got to be honest with you, the squad were brilliant that way. They were good professionals. Listen, you would take advice, of course, but then I would obviously sit with the player, because there was a couple of times that I get said, listen, this player's maybe 50-50, right, fine. I would then sit down with the player, have a cup of coffee and say, right, how are you feeling? And if he says to me, I'm ready to rock, then great, you're playing.
Good. Another thing that's been spoken about recently, Russell Martin back in the dugout this Saturday at Ibrox. What's he wearing? It seems to be a talk of the club at the moment. A lot of the fans, obviously, Barry, you had the suit on straight away. You got the job. I bet you were in it in 5 minutes and into the club. Russell Martin hasn't done it.
The old brogues.
Yep, get it done.
Right.
Is that a thing for you?
Look, I just grew up. That's when I was a wee boy coming with my dad to watch my brother and Durrant and Coy stay, and that's what the managers wore. It's just like it was a standard and the tradition. So, listen, I'm a Rangers man, so I kept with the tradition. Every Rangers manager I've watched for the stands or obviously played under, we're sitting there, or we're standing at the touchline with their tin flute on and a wee cardigan and a wee jumper. So I thought, right, I've got to follow suit.
I think if we'd had top marks from the first few games, I don't think it's something we'd probably be sitting talking about. I don't think you could be wearing a mankini in that dugout as long as you was getting the 3 points.
You could be Borat if you want to, but listen, that seems to the modern generation now, the way they retire on the side of it. I'm like Barry, I'm an old boy, I'm old school, I'm shirt and tie. And we were brought up coming into training with shirt and tie, so it was easy for us. But if Russell's happy with that, then let Russell wear whatever he wants. But as I said, it gets covered up now because of probably the start of the season we're having, and there's a wee bit of picnic and we're picking on things. But listen, when he starts winning games, I don't think it'll get mentioned.
Looking at who we've signed this year, is there any standout players in Scotland that you're looking at thinking, do you know what, I wish we'd got them in?
There's a few. I look at the boy for Dundee who I really liked, Josh Mulligan, who went to Hibs. I always liked him. I'd seen him a number of times on the TV. I come up close against him when we beat Dundee 4-3 at Dens Park, and he stood out like a sore thumb, if I'm being honest with you. So he was one that I would have liked to have seen at Ibrox. I thought he had all the attributes to be a Rangers player. Listen, it's different, obviously, playing it, in no disrespect to Dundee, but it is different. But I thought, looking at him and watching him and speaking to a few people about him, I thought he would have been a real good signing. But unfortunately, I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but he's obviously went to Hibs, and it's a real good start at Hibs. He scored a couple of screamers, but he's a player I think that will be pushing soon to get into the Scotland setup.
That a player you'd have liked to have seen at
Yeah.
Rangers, Ian?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. He was well mentioned along with Lawrence Shankland. There's been a few mentioned, and all Scottish boys, but they seem to be down another route. And again, I hope I've not missed the boat again. But Josh Mulligan looks like, as Barry said, is one I think we've missed out on again, and he would have been perfect for Rangers, I think. And who knows if Lawrence came now, he's a proven goal scorer. But again, that's dead now. Lawrence has signed a new long-term contract with Hearts, but they were the two players that seem to be mentioned all the time. But again, now we choose to go down a different route.
Getting into the Hearts game, who's a dead cert to start for you in that Rangers squad?
Butland.
The captain. I know Butland will definitely play, but definitely the captain. Tough.
And important that we get that good defensive partnership with Suter, whether it be Giga, Fernandez, Cornelius, yeah.
He's got a right few options now. As I said, now I was talking about 4-4-2 and Barry talking about 3. There's so many options, and they seem now with Suter playing really well, and obviously Cornelius getting a goal against Wales. It stands us in good stead, and we'll see what happens. But tomorrow, or Saturday, sorry, the team it takes to the field has got to be doing a lot better in the last 4 games. And let's go on Saturday. Let's kick on.
The good thing is the size of the squad. See if you don't produce the goods on Saturday, somebody will be ready to step in and take your place. So you need to be on your toes, and you need to make sure you obviously you play well. And that's what you want. You want a squad with competition in it. Now, as you said, there's no distractions whatsoever about people going or people staying, or who you're signing or who you're no signing, or whatever's going on. Now we know the squad, and now it's about making sure you get in that starting 11, and when you get in that starting 11, you don't give that jersey away.
This is something that Steven Gerrard did when he came into Rangers, having 2 people for each position so they can fight for that position to get that jersey on.
Yeah, competition, as the wee man said there, great. But if you've got a hold of the jersey, don't give it up. Don't give it up easy now with slack play or having slack games. Treat every game, and we know if you start winning games here, we've spoken about it, this place will be rocking, and we'll push up the league, and it starts on Saturday against a very, very tough team in Hearts. But what a game to come back to. As I say, we'll get the top of the league coming, and let's make sure we turn up.
Definitely. You're watching the 5 Stars podcast, sponsored by Stealth Competitions with Barry Ferguson and Ian Durrant.
This week we've got a fantastic opportunity. You can win Alan McGregor signed goalkeeping gloves for just £5 a ticket. There's only 140 involved, so head over to the site now, and as ever, best of luck.